What's going on, gamers? We got some September worldwide results here from Circana. He's still trying to get the official US numbers to give the VG chart so that they can update the worldwide numbers. We're going to get to that in a second. But we got some interesting news here. So, yeah, you know what's number one here. Switch is number one worldwide. Like I told people, Nintendo's about to take over. Sony's number two, which they're still doing very good. Borderlands was number one, 2K was number two, and FIFA was number three, as we know. But going over here to the headline, Matt Piscatella says PlayStation 5 has now surpassed PlayStation 3 in lifetime install base. Ghost of Yotei, after 1 week in market, is basically flat with Ghost of Tsushima. All right. Now, yeah, there's a lot in all of that, right? First and foremost, congratulations to Sony for passing up the PS3 install base. As you know, PS3 picked up a little bit more later on, but yeah, started off slow because of that cell processor. They did have more sales in Japan because Japan was actually supporting the PS3. So seeing that happen now just shows that, okay, PlayStation 5 is still where it kind of needs to be in a way because Sony just has that OP hardware manufacturing loyalty. So that's just going to happen. So cool on that. We're going to get to more on that in a second, though. Now, getting to Ghost of Yotei after 1 week in the market is basically flat with Ghost of Tsushima. Okay, so the reason why this is impressive, though I don't think it'll keep up with it in the long term, is because when Ghost of Tsushima launched, it was in that COVID spike. Was. So the fact that it matched it in the US, even with a lot of stuff happening, none of us agree with that, of course. Um, it kind of defeats the narrative of what people were trying to push. And, maybe we just have to be honest on this channel. So far, I mean, even without the COVID spike, it fell flat with it. That's not a failure. It did good. Now, I don't know if it's blowing it out of the water in sales because we need to get the US numbers. We know what Tsushima did worldwide, but we don't have Yotei worldwide numbers. Well, we do know in the USA now. Well, we can go take a look at Japan and we can get those numbers, right? They said in the UK it was number two or whatever. We can kind of get the idea together, right? So far, there's no way it didn't like sell 2 million or whatever already. I think it's somewhere around there. You know what I mean? We can pretty much give it that. It basically stomped Assassin's Creed, considering that was on multiple platforms and PC, and Ghost of Yotei still passed up because the Ghost of Yotei launched on PC and Xbox. Come on, man, that thing would be at like 3.5, maybe already close to 4. So yeah, Assassin's Creed was a failure, but Ghost of Yotei was not. And the reason why is because Ghost of Yotei, the video game, is actually a good video game. It's not really affected by that nonsense. Sure, I mean, you have her face or whatever, but there's no dialogue affected, there's no gameplay affected. It's still just like Ghost of Tsushima, but they just kind of made a Ghost of Tsushima 1.5 and put her in the game. And I'm playing the game. I have 40 something hours on it, so I'm not gonna sit here and feed you no bullcrap. It's a good game. I enjoy it, but is it anything revolutionary or mind blowing? Not necessarily. Besides that engine, like I said, 4K 60 ray tracing on the Pro. Boy, Unreal Engine 5, get embarrassed. And Epic, you should be ashamed. So that's my thing with Ghost of Yotei. It ended up doing what it's doing. I'm enjoying the game. I love my samurais. You know how I take that. Like I said, Bleach is my favorite anime of all time for a reason. I love my samurai lore. So as a samurai lover, after playing Ghost of Tsushima, getting a platinum on that, or so I'm getting a platinum on Yotei, there's no way I wouldn't have not got into that game. Though I didn't pay full price for that game, by the way. I paid 50, but don't worry about how I did that. Or 55 or whatever. But all in all, yeah, I'm enjoying the game. Like I said, I have 40 something hours. I'm doing everything. It's good. And I can understand if people say, man, I wanted Jinsekai, whatever, man. But what I can tell you is that the game is definitely not overrated, and it's definitely not a failure. I enjoy it. I like it. Now, going down, we can zoom in right here. This is where he says, oh, great call on the PlayStation 5 versus PlayStation 3 comp. Had a note to keep looking at that and then just forgot. Dang it, yes, PS5 has now surpassed PS3 in lifetime install base. Shoot, that would have been a cool note. In regard to Yotei, after 1 week in the market, it's basically flat with Tsushima. So we pretty much got our answers on that. Going down here, Matt Stella says, 2025 video game data fun fact, the PlayStation 5 has now surpassed PS3, so that's cool. Source, Circana Retail Tracking Service. Shout out to Maki on the install base forum for reminding me about this one. And then that's when you get the idea about this here. So going over here, we're going to get more stats down here. We get that idea over there. Once again, congratulations, Sony, on both of those things. September 2025 US video game market highlights thread from Circana. Borderlands 4 led several hit new releases. Helped delivering 10% growth in September US video game spending. But we know Borderlands 4 is tanking hard right now, though. Randy can keep his damn mouth shut. It's like, dude, come on, man. You know, and then we got the Switch 2 version. It's going to give it another spike in the future. You know, do what you need to do. Keep on adding content. People will return. But you know how it is. The horde's moving to something else. There's a lot of other things coming out. Battlefield dropped. You know, stuff like that's happening. Coming down here, we see U.S. video games market September spending trend. Projected U.S. total spending on video game hardware, content, and accessories grew 10% versus a year ago. That's thanks to Nintendo. See, they're growing the market. 4.8 billion. Several hit new releases, Nintendo Switch 2 hardware, and non-mobile subscriptions fueled the gains. He said the same thing for August. Nintendo carried that by themselves to put it into the positive. Obviously, Sony's helping a bit too. And you still got Switch 1 sales. We're going to get all that into a second. Looking down here at the chart, we kind of get the idea here that it is growing. It's reaching a peak here, and that's because of Nintendo. Even in the decline of Xbox, Nintendo's making up for all of that. It doesn't matter. They're going to make up for all that easily. And help the whole industry grow, and Japan coming in getting a boost too, with Switch 1 still selling. So the Switch 1 outselling the Xbox Series worldwide, as we got the series is doing here. You see its last place there, and then you get they haven't got the NA numbers, but Nintendo's gonna be number one because, like they just said, obviously worldwide they're winning. But Sony had some deals here, but they're already making up for that just by themselves replacing that, plus the Switch 2 doing that. That's how OP they are. We're gonna get back to this in a second though. So for the charts here worldwide, we get the idea of Borderlands being here, Take-Two as usual being on the charts, and 2K used to be Sega's franchise, shrug. And then this stuff right here, the usual stuff. Ghost Yotei coming number 4 here, which means that those numbers were actually pretty good. Because it's right up there. Nintendo doesn't give digital, so we know their stuff's not going to be as high as it should, but that's okay though. We can get the numbers from them later on. Going down, top 20 year-to-date premium, we see 2K, Monster Hunter, Borderlands already spiked up there. Did really good at the launch, but I'm pretty sure it spiked down. Helldivers 2, for Xbox, I said it was actually number 3 on their chart, so I don't know what those numbers are. But if we go down here to this chart, we see spending on video game hardware increased by 24%. When compared to a year ago, reaching 324 million. Switch 2 sales were again able to offset the double-digit year-on-year percentage declines from PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch 1. They carried all three and still made it go. That's what I'm saying, Nintendo power. Like I said, they were going to do, they're going to raise up the whole industry. Everything I've been saying has been correct. Hardware, Switch 2 was the best-selling video game hardware in both units and dollars across September and 2025. They already passed up Sony in total aspects. Sony had January, February, March, April, and May. Nintendo had 5 months to catch up to, and they already did that in the amount of time that they've been on the market. Important facts over here. Like I said they were going to do. With PlayStation 5 ranking second, obviously, which we know that was going to be the case. So Sony had 5 months, and that just shows how OP Nintendo is. Like I said, you ain't stopping them. All that grip doesn't work. It's just delusional. Hardware, year-to-date video game hardware spending grew by 20% when compared to a year ago to 3.2 billion, but trailed the 3.7 billion achieved the year-to-date period ending September 2025. So even with Microsoft doing what they're doing, I said they don't hurt the video game. See, Nintendo's still carrying in a way. Along with what Sony's doing. So console industries are healthy. You see what I mean? It's just Xbox. That doesn't mean the gaming is hurt though. Not really. As we see, it's not really. Everything's fine. So going over here, Borderlands 4 is the best-selling premium video game of September, debuting as number 3 instantly for the year, and it generated the highest launch month dollar sales of any title in franchise history, nearly 30% higher than the previous Borderlands 3. So it did good on that. Until, you know, some people just can't keep their mouth shut, like I said. So we kind of get the idea here, don't we? Oh, let's go to Helldivers. Okay, Helldivers, okay, it was the 4th best-selling game of September on Xbox platforms, the 4th best-selling game. After debuting 3rd during the August launch month. So we need to get some official numbers. Hopefully we'll get some today. Helldivers 2 ranked as the 6th best-selling game overall in September and was 19th for the 2025 year-to-date period. Cool. And down here we're going to get the idea of PlayStation. 2Ks obviously, Ghost Yotei number 2, Borderlands right there. See that, right? And then down here we get Borderlands 4 being number 1 on Xbox, 2K26, FIFA, and then Helldivers. So it did not sell those obviously. But it went above Madden and all that. So yeah, I mean it did pretty decent, it looks like. And then for Nintendo we got Galaxy being number 1 without digital. Bonanza still being number 3 without digital. Yeah, because if you see this, Nintendo's the only one that does not give digital. It's kind of annoying. I wish they would. As you see down here, digital sales are not counted. They just won't give them. That company's funny, but that's Nintendo though. You guys know. Only Nintendo, right? Nobody else. Funny company. Just cracks me up, man. Content, September 2025, the top best-selling premium games on PC. Borderlands 4, Digimon Story, the Time Strategy. Looks like that's doing very good. I see people saying that's better than Legends ZA. And I'm like, oh, maybe it might be. That's just one game. But remember, they got Gen 10 next year. There's going to be tons of Pokemons. That's just one game. But at least it's a good Digimon game. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. So I'm definitely not against that. It looks like it's a solid game. I saw some reviews on Steam. But remember, Legends ZA is a B-team game. You know what I mean? It's not the main line. Gen 10 is going to blow everything out of the water. And of course, Legends is going to outsell Digimon, but you know, and it may get updates and get better. Who knows though? But I'm going to take a look into that. I haven't really got the chance to take a look at Digimon, but yeah, congratulations. There's nothing wrong with having another good game in some type of competition. Is that bad? No, that's good. Game Freak can be lazy, no doubt about that. Going down though, we pretty much get the same thing as we saw before about accessories. Spending fell 10% in September. The gamepad segment was the largest contributor. Okay, never mind, not this one. To the decline. Okay. The PS5 DualSense Midnight Black was the month's best-selling accessory. The Switch 2 Pro controller is leading both measures year to date. Yeah, the thing's amazing. Accessories year to date on remote play devices has fallen. That kind of makes sense. The portal's kind of like going down. People are seeing what's coming around the corner, so that kind of makes sense. And he's like, can you say anything more about how PS5 performed specifically at this time? This month, it saw the price hike across all retailers. And then even after all of that, the average price for the PS5 was up by a high single-digit percentage when compared to August. Unit sales grew by more than 10%. Because that's stuff with Xbox, and nobody want that. And not only that, we saw Sony do some crazy sales. Like over here, we go to the charts. These are insane sales in Europe. They're doing crazy deals over there. They are. Nintendo's not doing it. Obviously, they're keeping the prices there. But in USA, obviously, they're doing gangbusters. And over here, it's going to be gangbusters. Because like you said, they're pretty much winning in that regard. But congratulations to Sony for selling that in Europe. Same thing over here. They're having those sales in Europe, as we see. Yeah, there's some pretty good deals going on. And I think there's some deals going on in Costco, and they're going to be coming out in USA for November as well. We're going to see what Nintendo's going to do. But what Nintendo's doing here, as we get the idea, is combining both. This is what they're doing for the month. This is what they're doing for the week. We got to see this now, right? Because it's two markets. That's what I'm trying to tell you. USA numbers are going to be pretty high too. It's like if we go back to, for example, August, you're basically taking this, and this is what they're doing. You know what I mean? And if Sony had anything with PS4, you add that in. This is down here. And the Xbox is only going to get worse though, as we see that's down to 42 because nobody's going to buy their stuff. This is going to tank down after the price hikes. It's going to get worse and worse. So once again, Sony and Nintendo can basically take care of the console industry by themselves. We don't really need Xbox in the console industry. They're going to PC, as we know that. What would be nice for them is to help out on the third-party publishing and expanding out on that, and maybe helping if you can in whatever way that you can. But outside of that, looking at it from a software standpoint, hardware, not necessarily. It's going to be niche. I'm pretty much done with hardware. So this is pretty much the reports here. Yotei in 2 days, as we see, that was really good. Tactics did well too. Portal 1.3 million. Seems like Helldivers data on Xbox is fixed now. It was number 3 in August. But I want to get the numbers. If we get the official numbers, don't worry. We're going to make a video and we're going to talk about that. But there we pretty much have it. Nintendo is, like I said, doing what they're going to be doing. We're not hating over here. This is called the other side of the spectrum. This is what you're doing for the gaming industry, not just negativity only. That's stupid. So, number 1 worldwide, already passed up PlayStation. Sony passed up PS3. Ghost of Yotei is not failing. It's doing well. We see software doing well. Stuff is increasing and growing, because the Switch and Nintendo is doing so well, with Sony doing well and continue to go too. So there we have it. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about this. We got our stats, and when we get numbers for this month, it's going to be interesting. And don't forget, I think on the 30th and coming up are fiscal results for the summer. So look out for that later, y'all. Peace out. Nintendo, stay spanking.